Andrzejewski is the founder and CEO of OpenTheBooks.com, the world's largest private database of government spending. And man, that's a big one. At OpenTheBooks.com, Adam captures and posts all disclosed spending at every level of government, federal, state, and local. They actually have an app. You can put in your zip code and see the government spending in your zip code. OpenTheBooks.com has successfully captured nearly 4 billion public expenditures. They are rapidly growing their data in all 50 states and down to the municipal level. OpenTheBooks.com even has a smartphone app. As I said, you can download it, you stick in your zip code and see what your government's doing. They won't stop until they capture every dime taxed and spent by our government. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Andrzejewski. Very good.
Well, Donna Fiducia, the first name is actually Adam. I've been in South Carolina. This is the third year of addressing the conference here, and I have yet, ever, not one single time, to meet another person in South Carolina named Andrzejewski. Thank you for that warm welcome today. What an amazing conference. Joe Dugan, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you to the Patriot community here in Myrtle Beach. It is a privilege to share our mission and vision with you. I'm so excited to be here for many reasons, but one of the reasons is I'm from Illinois. It's the Super Bowl of corruption. Our number one manufactured product in Illinois is corruption. So we've got a lot of work to do in Illinois and across the country. But I am hopeful and optimistic about our future. Why? Because in America, the citizen is sovereign. Our rights are enshrined in our founding documents. Our founders knew that knowledge and education was power. And they wrote knowledge and education in the form of transparency. They recognized the power of transparency, and they wrote it into our United States Constitution. And it's Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution, and it states that a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. Today, the interpretation is clear. Post every dime online in real time. Open the books. My name is Adam Andrzjewski, and I founded the nation's leading transparency portal at OpenTheBooks.com. Here's our mission: to capture and post online every dime taxed and spent at every level of government across the entire country. And then to help citizens like you and I give it scrutiny, to hold the political class accountable for their tax and spend decisions. And we've had a lot of success capturing data. In 60,000 local municipal governments across America, we've captured 15 million public employee salary records and pension records. In 47 state capitals, we have the checkbook of 47 state governments, oftentimes going back for a dozen years. And since the year 2000 at the federal level, we've captured nearly all disclosed federal spending. We've built the world's largest private database of public spending, and our honorary chairman is the former legendary U.S. Senator, Dr. Tom Coburn from Oklahoma. He was a real champion on transparency and accountability in the Senate. We're so proud to have him as our honorary chairman. But not only do we capture spending and open the books, we audit them. We audit those books, and I want to share with you our latest oversight report. We do oversight reports on federal spending once a quarter, where we take a tranche of federal spending or we give oversight to a federal agency. Now, our latest one we launched over the Christmas and New Year's holiday on the Laura Ingraham show, the new show, The Ingraham Angle at the Fox News Channel. The report is entitled Mapping the Swamp, a Study of the Administrative State. We literally took the disclosed 2 million federal civil service workers, their what's commonly known as the federal bureaucracy, their salary and their bonus histories. And we mapped it across the whole country based on where they work, their employer address. So for the first time in history, the people in America, you can come to our website at openthebooks.com, and you can give scrutiny to the little swamps that exist everywhere the federal bureaucracy exists across the entire country. So right here in South Carolina, you can see the federal bureaucracy, or any zip code, and there's 30,000 zip codes across the country where there is a federal bureaucrat employed. You can come to our website, you can search this map, you can see by name the federal civil service worker, where they work, the federal agency, how much they make in terms of salary and bonus, and what they do in terms of job title. And I'm proud to say that over 150,000 people have come to openthebooks.com, and they've rendered 750,000 searches on federal pay and bonuses. So when we opened the books, what did we find? We found that the federal bureaucracy is very expensive. It costs the American taxpayer every minute $1 million and every day $500 million. And it's getting more expensive. Amongst the highly compensated federal employees, those making $200,000 or more, the number of those folks over the course of the last 6 years has increased by 165%. There is a new minimum wage for a federal bureaucrat. In 78 of the large federal agencies, the average salary is now 6 figures. The average salary is now $100,000. We actually found on these lucrative salaries, we found 30,000 federal bureaucrats now out-earn every governor of the 50 states, and that threshold salary is $190,000 a year. And although there's lucrative salaries, we're only getting started on the federal compensation package. They also are entitled to bonuses. And the bonus bucket last year cost the American taxpayer $1.5 billion. It wasn't just enough to get a 6-figure salary. We found 122,000 6-figure public employees on salary also got a bonus last year. So what do you think the president is going to say when he finds out that the average salary for a federal bureaucrat in 78 large federal agencies is $100,000, and 122,000 of them got a bonus, and we can't even see 2/3 of the bonuses because the federal union contract hid them? Yes, the federal agencies contracted with the unions to hide the performance bonuses, and last year that was $1.1 million. $1.1 billion. I think the president's going to say, drain the swamp. But it's a compensation package for federal bureaucrats. So they not only have the lucrative salaries and the bonuses, but they also have benefits. So at openthebooks.com, we found that there is a paid time off benefit. And incredibly, if you hit your 3-year anniversary as a federal bureaucrat, you're entitled to 43 days of paid time off. It's 10 holidays, 13 sick days, and 20 vacation days. That little benefit costs the American taxpayer every single year $22 billion. Now, we've got a great room, hundreds of people here in the room. Who here in the room gets 43 days of paid time off at your job? Not one person. We don't have any federal or state workers in here. Not one person. So when Congress passes the legislation, here, I've got a great idea for Congress. I think Congress should save the American taxpayer $5 billion. And how would they do that? Rather than giving 8.5 weeks of paid time off, let's just cut it to 6 weeks, 30 days. That saves the taxpayer $5 billion. And when that bill passes Congress and gets to the president's desk, what do you think he's going to tweet? Hashtag Drain the swamp. So it's compensation, it's salaries, it's bonuses, it's paid time off. But the system's also been gamed on these bonuses by large agencies and small agencies. You remember the scandal on bonuses at Veterans Affairs that started in 2014. But we also identified small agencies, like out in San Francisco, California, an agency called the Presidio Trust. These people are not rocket scientists. They're not curing cancer. They're land managers. There's a former military base. It sits at the base of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. It's about 5% of the entire land mass of San Francisco. It's some of the most beautiful property in the entire country. They manage it. And we found last year 3 out of the top 4 bonuses out of the entire federal system with 2 million federal employees were conferred by the Presidio Trust. We found the #1 bonus in the entire federal system was the human resource manager. He's in charge of payroll at the trust, and he received a $141,000 bonus last year. Their realtor got an $80,000 bonus. Their miscellaneous program officer got a $75,000 bonus. And join me on the clarion call. This needs to be investigated. Congress needs to hold hearings, and we need to stop this taxpayer abuse. When our report, Mapping the Swamp, was launched, right away the editorial board of Investors Business Daily, they put up a great editorial. They said, Mapping the Swamp may be the most comprehensive and creative report ever compiled on the true size, scope, and cost of the federal government. And they're right about that, of course, but there has to be transparency impact. We can't just write about these things. Across the whole country, people need to come to our website, and they need to take a look at their own zip code, where you have network, where you have influence, where you know all the relationships. And then when you find bloat and taxpayer abuse, you need to call your member of Congress, and you need to ask them, what are you doing to rein in the bloat in the federal bureaucracy and cut the taxpayer abuse? This has to be the impact of our reports. As the president ran for president, he promised to drain the swamp. And there's one thing that he must not do. He must prevent Congress from bringing back earmarks. What is an earmark? It's power for a congressman. That's what it is. It's the ability to stick a pork barrel piece of a project in a piece of legislation to bring it back, bring the bacon back to his district. I'm from Illinois, and I want to give you an example of how earmarks work. Denny Hastert, Illinois congressman, he was Speaker of the House. He purchased a 63-acre piece of property in Plano, Illinois, that did not have road access. He earmarked the road for the property. He flipped it and made $1.5 million. Please join me. The president must stand against Congress and prevent the Congress from bringing back earmarks. It is the currency of corruption. So we've got a lot of work to do. The swamp is deep and it's powerful. And soon after we launched our report, Kimberly Strassel at the Wall Street Journal, just a couple of days after we launched, she wrote a piece and she said, she suggested to the president that the next agenda item should not be pork barrel infrastructure spending. It should be to make good on his promise to drain the swamp. She said that he needs to bring forth civil service reform of the administrative state, and we agree. But the party out of power all the way back from Reagan in '83 through Pelosi in 2006, they've always tried to drain the swamp. Reagan in '83 says, it's hard when you're up to your armpits in alligators to remember that you came here to drain the swamp. And when Pelosi was out of power, she said, what we have to do is drain the swamp in Washington, D.C. So both parties have tried. And the administrative state is powerful, and it still exists. And we need to put this in the proper scope. and give it the proper scrutiny to show just how powerful the resistance is to change. And so our dad at OpenTheBooks.com, we identified the resistance. The resistance is the 120,000 program managers, program analysts, and their bosses that are paid $12 billion at the American taxpayer expense in salaries and bonuses every single year. So when the president suggests a budget cut, those are the people that form the resistance. Those are the people that will never consent to cut their program, their favorite program, because it is their favorite program. But this is where they get the power. They confer $600 billion worth of federal grants every single year. So in our next oversight report at OpenTheBooks.com, it's called Where's the Pork? And we're giving oversight to the $600 billion in the last year of Obama's administration in fiscal year 2016 that was conferred through the federal government. And it's waste. And it's insider trading for Congress. And at OpenTheBooks.com, if you've been following our work, both here at the convention and after we leave the convention, every year you know that we give oversight to federal programs. There is a federal program over at the Department of Agriculture called farm subsidies. And when we gave oversight to it, we found tens of millions of dollars worth of federal farm subsidies flowing into America's urban areas where there are no farms. Chicago, Washington, D.C., and New York. My favorite example of the waste was in Chicago, where the founder of the Nation of Islam, Reverend Minister Louis Farrakhan, he's a farmer, and he has $327,000 worth of federal farm subsidies to prove it. There is a program over at the EPA, and they're in charge of purchasing luxury furniture. We did an oversight report of the United States Environmental Protection Agency, and we found that in an 8-year period, they purchased $92 million worth of high-end luxury furniture. So let's get this straight. For the taxpayer, it's IKEA. For the federal bureaucrats at the EPA, it is $800 pencil holders and $7,000 executive desks. We need a war on waste in this country. There are program managers over at the Small Business Administration, the SBA, and here's what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be lending to mom and pop businesses on Main Street, those entrepreneurs, the men and women who have great ideas but cannot find financing in the private marketplace. So we did an oversight report of what they actually did. We found they lent $200 million to America's country clubs, golf clubs, swim clubs, beach clubs, and tennis clubs across America. We found that they lent $14 billion to Wall Street with no transparency after that, and that is not Main Street. Now, there's no reason to demonize success in America, but you and I, we don't need to subsidize it either. There's a program manager over at the National Institute of Arts. And we did an oversight report of the NEA, and it launched on the editorial page of the Wall Street Journal. See, we fact-checked the program's promise to the American taxpayer. They tell you that they're giving art grants to the starving artist to help preserve the culture that would go away without federal subsidies. Here's what we found. $80 out of every $100 in federal grants to arts agencies went to well-heeled, asset-rich organizations with over $1 million in their bank accounts. And that's not a starving artist. It is organizations like the Met. They have fashion's biggest night, where all the rock stars grace their red carpet. The Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. $1.2 million of federal grants flowed into them. They have $4 billion worth of assets, and they cannot make the claim that they need the money. President Trump vowed to cut arts funding completely, and Robert Redford battled him. Robert Redford's Sundance Institute in Park City, Utah, has $50 million of assets. Yet, during the Obama years, the 8 years, $3.3 million of NEA grants flowed into Robert Redford's Sundance Institute. These federal program managers have helped game the system for the elite institutions across America. Who knew? Who knew that the 8 colleges of the Ivy League during a 6-year period had amassed a $42 billion benefit at U.S. taxpayer expense? If the 8 schools of the Ivy League, on special tax treatment of their endowments, on federal direct payments on grants and contracts, and other federal subsidies, if they were a state government, on the receipt of federal money, they would outrank 16 state governments. They're off mission. They're now, our research showed, more federal contractor. They took $25 billion over a 6-year period on federal contracts and grants. They only collected $22 billion of undergraduate student tuition. They're more federal contractor than they are educator. And you and I subsidized it despite them having $120 billion in their endowments, which equals $2 million on an undergraduate student basis. And this report, again, broke at the Wall Street Journal, and Fox News ran it 6 times, and it reached 8 to 10 million people. The federal bureaucrats and the program managers are allowing America's sanctuary mayors to defy federal law and soak up federal funding. So on January 25th last year, the president issued an executive order threatening to cut funding from America's sanctuary cities. Yet nobody could answer the question, what was at stake? How much money was at stake? 1 week later, on February 2nd, at Open the Books, we had the answer. The 106 sanctuary cities, in fiscal year 2016, they received $27 billion of federal funding. In the city of New York, it was $8 billion. On a per-person basis, per man, woman, and child, it was $900. We have a lot of work to do in this country. We have a lot of work to do at all levels. And the federal bureaucracy is very, very powerful. So how do you drain the swamp? How do you and I get started draining the swamp? It's the Coburn model. Coburn's our honorary chairman. How did he end earmarks back in the day? He found the bridge to nowhere. And he used that example of corruption and taxpayer abuse. He took that story to the American people, and then they won the issue. We have to win the issue in every generation, so earmarks is not gone, and it could be coming back. But you and I need to start fighting on hard facts. And how we win this, and how we help the president drain the swamp, how we help the president reform the administrative state, how we help on Operation Drain the Swamp, as Kimberly Strassel at the Wall Street Journal advocates, is we have to start fighting and following exactly where our tax dollars are flowing. So I want to close with the following story. And it's a story of how we win. One of the most egregious examples that hopefully any of us will ever see in our lifetime of federal agencies run amok is Veterans Affairs in 2014. I just want to take you back to the scandal. At the very nexus of the scandal, a sick veteran couldn't get in to see a doctor because there weren't enough doctors. At OpenTheBooks.com, we found 3,100 employees just at the Phoenix facility, where up to 40 veterans died while waitlisted to see a doctor because there was only 227 doctors. In the summer of 2016, we audit the VA checkbook every single year. And in the summer of 2016, on our audit, we noticed in the VA checkbook that they had coated as furniture $20 million worth of high-end luxury artwork. It was 27-foot Christmas trees costing $21,000. It was sculptures priced like 5-bedroom homes. We found a VA facility that serves blind veterans in Palo Alto, California. They bought 2 sculptures for a total of $700,000. And blind veterans can't see a fancy sculpture. And every veteran deserves to be able to see a doctor. Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley in Iowa, he picked up our findings after Good Morning America showcased this. It went to ABC News. Grassley wrote a 3-page letter to then VA Secretary Robert McDonald. And within 34 days of receiving that letter, McDonald apologized for the purchases and he instituted new rules to stop the taxpayer abuse on a go-forward basis. And that's how we win. Ben Franklin said, "It's a republic if you can keep it. This is up to us." We've done the hard work. We've mapped the swamp. Come to OpenTheBooks.com. And then on Monday, what are you going to do? Please call your congressman. And what are you going to tell him? Drain. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. It's great being here in Myrtle Beach. Thank you so much.